All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys know what time it is. Behind the turnbuckle, we have called in all of our favors. We've called in all of the people, and we have made it to the super secret fluffy compound. What you're getting ready to see in the next several minutes is like something you've never seen before, including this little friend behind me that is number one of an entire selection. So without further ado, let's show you the fluffy compound. I'm here with the man himself, Gabriel Iglesias. All right, Fluffy, you're taking us behind the camera today.
But if I'm taking you behind the camera, then I'm taking... There you go. All right, there we go. It's got clearly we have the same barber. Dude, if we hung out together, we'd look like a pair of nuts. You realize that?
So, talk me through this first, because I can't even believe you're allowing Behind the Turnbuckle into your world. This is not the only warehouse, correct?
That is correct. Say hello to the Fluffy Compound. I am a collector of Volkswagen buses.
Where did your love of all of this start for you?
My first car was a 1968 Volkswagen bus, much like the one I'm going to show you down there. However, it didn't have that level of care. My bus was ragged. It cost me $400. My brother bought it for me. It was 18 shades of primer, and it was very much. It was a Picasso on wheels. I spent more time pushing it than driving it, but it was my first. And anytime it's your first, you always have a special place in your heart for it. About 8-9 years ago, I got my ex-girlfriend back her first car. She wanted her first car was a Trans Am. I helped her get her Trans Am. The guys that helped me do that are Jay Leno's guys, the Steves. They said, hey, well, if there's a car that you're interested in, let us know and we'll go look for it. And I says, well, I'd very much like to see about getting a Volkswagen bus. And they're like, anyone in particular? And I remember my first car was 18 shades of primer, so I wasn't married to a certain color per se. And so they brought me one. And they said, if you want anything else, let us know. And I said, well, if you come across anything else, let me know. And we played that game for about 2 years, and they filled up half the building. I have a friend of mine who is he's a master at what he does. His name is Henry Marchana. He does Volkswagen restorations. That's his specialty. So if you take him any other car, he's gonna struggle. But with a bus, he does it. So every single one of these, you can literally eat off of them. The interior, exterior, undercarriage, everything on these buses is pristine and very much museum quality. So I get the question all the time of people saying, hey, well, do you drive these around? I will, but they're not daily drivers. I'm not trying to take them to Starbucks or try to go here or there. But if I have an opportunity to take one out, I definitely want to have some people with me just in case it breaks down. Because as beautiful as they are, they're still cars that are, freaking 50 years old. So it's like, the technology is the technology. None of these has modern features in them. So it's you're relying on the times, and one little oil leak can lead to a breakdown. You don't have enough gas in there, or gas is sloshing, the engine will shut off. So they're pretty, they're more for show. Because of the fact that I love these buses so much, and I've turned this into like a Volkswagen museum, I got the attention of Volkswagen. And Volkswagen, the CEO came down here with all his people, and they were very much like, this is cool. That was awesome, because they're like, wow, you are truly the biggest fan that we know of here in North America. Clearly in Germany, people have a little bit more than I do, because that's where they were made. But this became a thing for me. Having this many cars in one building, I tell people this is my Jay Leno starter kit, because Jay Leno's the reason why I got started in car collecting. He asked me the question one day. He's like, well, how you doing financially? You doing okay? And I go, yeah, it's going good. He goes, well, see, if you have cars that are classics, he goes, you can enjoy your investment. And when it's time to sell them, they'll appreciate, but you got to buy the right car. Wow. And so Jay has every car you can think of, and he's been here as well. We've shot numerous episodes here, but Jay doesn't have any Volkswagens, and I don't know why. He's like, it's not my thing exactly, Yeah, I can do the impression because he's a friend, and he makes fun of me for being fat, so whatever, fucker. Anyway, Volkswagen finds out that I have a Volkswagen museum. They come down here. You're the bus guy. We have the new bus that's being, the retro style, but it's electric, coming out very soon. And they told me they wanted me to be the first person to have one. So they came down a couple weeks ago.
That one?
That's that one right there. That is the first ID Buzz in North America, and they presented me with a plaque, and yeah, that's the first one right there, and I've already taken it out, and people look at it and they're like, what is that? You electric? I go, it's Volkswagen. It's
It's the
Volkswagen.
brand.
It's Volkswagen. And when the head of Volkswagen gives it to you, are you gonna say no? Are you gonna say, what is this? No, you're gonna be like, I earned this. I feel like I earned that for having all this. So
Hell yes,
that
you
is-
did.
That is my special trophy. And because it's the first, it's a collectible. First of all, you're very strong, so give me one hand. Feel the weight of that.
Oh my God, that's heavy. That's got to be 30 or 40 pounds.
It's insane, yeah. So it's when you feel the weight of it, you're like, oh yeah, they didn't get this at Michael's, but they wanted it to be special, and it really was. So when they came down and they presented this to me, they said, hey, if you ever put the car on display, just know that this goes with it. And I chose the color, which was really cool. And all the colors you see up here, those are colors that the ID Buzz comes in. And at first people go, oh, a little rainbow, huh? Are you saying something? I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying it's, these are the colors that the ID Buzz comes in. So there, now you know.
And so you got to make this. That makes it even cooler.
It makes it even cooler. They just said, what color do you like? And I got this thing for green. So it was really cool. But yeah, freaking heavy. Visions. So I'm really good creatively. I couldn't do any of this, but I can tell people what I would like. The idea of splitting a bus in half and turning it into a fish tank definitely was my idea. However, the reason why I had no issue doing that to this bus, because each one of these buses, it'll go for over $150,000.
Really?
Yeah,
Refurnished or before you buy them?
It depends on the year, the style, but when they're this nice, they'll go for 100 plus easy.
Oh, okay.
This, on the other hand, it started off as a Brazilian bus, and the reason why I say that and why that means something is because Volkswagen buses that were built in Brazil didn't have the same level of quality control. So like, for example, back in the day, it was hard to keep tabs on how people were building the cars. So like the Brazilian buses, people call them, like real collectors call them Frankensteins, because they'll take parts from a 1972 and parts from a 1968 and you'll see the car and you're like, what is that? Because the lights are different in the back, they'll move certain things around. And so this came from Brazil and it had those features. And so I said, I got no problem cutting that one in half. It's not worth the same here for that reason. And so they cut it in half, turned it into a $100,000 fish tank. So it wound up becoming, the fish tanks were created by a TV show called Tanked on A&E, a company called ATM out of Vegas. They came down, the guys were really awesome, and they built this. They also built a fish tank for Shaq. They made a giant diesel and they put the fish tank in the front. And so that was kind of the thing where we talked about turning a car into a fish tank. And they're like, well, we did something similar for Shaq. And I'm like, well, I don't have Shaq money, so what can we do with a Volkswagen? And they're like, well, we'll give it a shot. And that's what they did. And I thought it turned out really nice.
So we move on down here, and Gabe, now we're getting into some different kinds upstairs, but then
let me show you something first. I ran out of space, so I got a little excited this past year, and I didn't slow down. It was a really good year, and because of that, I was dealing with issues with space, and so I started collecting lifts, so stackers.
Is that your new vice?
This is the new vice, is collecting stackers. If you didn't notice earlier, there's a lot of these. A hell of a problem to have.
It really is.
And so I think at first I was like, oh, it's gonna look really bad in here having this, but it's not too bad. It looks kind of cool, actually.
No, it looks cool, and you don't even notice. Like, you're literally, I'm telling you, as I walked in, you don't notice. You just notice all the cars. So I'm telling you, it looks amazing.
Yeah, and this works out great because it's a Volkswagen, and it's two classics right here, back to back.
So what's this one? You say classic. The average car guy would say what to this?
Well, the average car guy would say, well, first of all, what year is it? How much does it cost? What does it do? Because it's like, all right, because this one's sitting low. This is not the normal height.
Okay.
This is in fact, tricked out. It's a lowrider, but not really a lowrider. It's just dropped, and it actually handles much better in this position. Up on top is a Ghia. It's a Carmen Ghia, and they call it a poor man's Porsche because it was, inspired from the Porsche, and a lot of the parts back in the day were interchangeable. And a lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. This right here, this bus, it looks like the first car that I ever had if I would have had the money to paint it. So this is the way it would have looked. And
So does this one mean a little bit more to you?
This one is really cool because, again, it represents my first car. It looks like the car that I should have had, but I didn't have the budget for. That is the only bug I own. I actually used to have 3, but bugs aren't my thing.
Yeah.
They're not bad, but I kept 1.
Wow.
Now over here, this is really cool. Up on top is a 1982 Mercedes-Benz turbo diesel. I saw that car for the first time in the movie Rocky 4. That's the car where they were chasing Rocky up the mountain. Wow. The Russians.
Oh, when he's training?
Yeah, when he's training.
Yes.
That's the car.
Yes.
So it's like, we are your chaperone, Mr. Balboa. And that's the car. And so I've always liked that car. It's really, it drives so nice. And even though the car is like 40 some odd years old now, still handles great. No issues. They say that those cars, this particular model was the best Mercedes-Benz ever built. They've been known to hit 1 million miles. And up here in the front, it actually has a badge because it hit, I think it was 180,000 miles. And so it was given a little plaque to, commemorate that. And then when it hits, I think 250,000 miles, you get another plaque for it. And it's really cool. It's nice.
That's really cool.
Before Crocs used to put those little figurines on the shoes, Mercedes-Benz was putting little badges on the front grille. I have 2 1994 Mustang Cobras. This was a hardtop. The other one is a convertible. The convertible, when I first bought it, had 12 miles on it, and we featured it on Leno's garage. And we peeled the plastic off, and we just did everything and took it out. And now the car has about 400 miles, and this one has 1,000 miles on it. So I've been trying to go out and buy cars that are a little bit more reliable, that I can enjoy. Because like I mentioned before, even though these classics are immaculate, they're still old cars, and I want to take a drive and not worry.
You don't want to be on the 405.
I don't want to be on the 405 sweating it, and then because it's happened before. I've been stuck on the freeway. I've been stuck on the street. I've been stuck on the side of the road, and it's embarrassing. You got this beautiful car. You're standing there, people driving by. Is that Fluffy?
Yeah, Fluffy.
And now I got like a little meet and greet on the side of the road, and I'm trapped. I can't get in the car and leave, and I'm waiting for a tow truck, and it's been a thing a couple of times. So I just don't want to go through that again. So I'd rather buy cars that I know, or if I buy the car that I like that looks a certain way, it's more of a showpiece. So like there's 2 Chevelles right here. Okay. The one at the bottom is an all original, and we feature that also on Leno's garage. It's got all its paperwork. I tell everybody that car's more documented than half my family. It's got paperwork for days, and you know exactly where everything came from. The one on top is a black Chevelle. It is I call this one Cocaine Bear. There was a movie that came out, and it's just about this aggressive bear that found cocaine and tore up the city. Well, this thing right here, it's as soon as you start it, man, the whole building rattles. It's insane. Yeah. So these are complete opposites right here. Now the ones next to it right here is a little Dodge collection here. We got a Charger and a Challenger, and both of them are very rare. The one on top is a Jailbreak edition, and it's manual. So you actually, it's stick, which is really, really cool. They don't really make them, but I know a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy. So that one is stick. And I call that one Hulk. It's green, and it's 800 plus horsepower. Wow. It's amazing. The one underneath it is a Daytona, King Daytona. And they only made a few of those. This one's numbered. And same thing. It's just they're rare, they're cool, they're fast, and if I want to go take a drive right now, I can.
Do you ever just need a night where you say it's a Tuesday, I've had a long weekend wherever I was, let me just go grab one and go sail down the 405, the 5, whatever it is, and just let it rip?
I've done that many times. I tell people that, because they say, well, you always have people around you. And I do. There's always people around me. But from time to time, I just want to jump in the car and then just take a drive. And I'll do that like at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. That's my favorite time to get in the car because there's no traffic and I can just go. And it's awesome. So yeah, believe me, I've had every single one of the newer ones I've taken out for late night drives. However, like Cocaine Bear is just obnoxious. So no matter, you wake up the city, you set off alarms. It's one of those where you set off all those 90s alarms. This is a 1981 DeLorean. It's the year before the one from Back to the Future. One thing that's real interesting about this one that you won't see in the movies is this right here. This is actually a gas access, little point. And they did away with that in the following year, and they just put it so you had to open up the whole hood and then put gas. But
Really?
yeah. Anyway, it's random, it's dumb, and that's why I got a discount.
In your life outside of comedy and these cars, because to me, your cars are kind of like my sports. They're everything to me. Like I can't imagine my life without sports of some kind. It seems like this would just like take up your whole life. Like it's been a lifelong journey.
Well, it's taken up my whole budget.
Yeah.
So I guess you might want to say it's taken up a big portion of life. But I mean, it's like we work hard, we go out and we do what we do, and how do you spend it?
Yeah.
I don't have a wife, so that money is mine, and I enjoy the fruits of my labor, and I love these cars, and they all have a certain meaning to me. Like this bus right here. This is a 1974. The reason I know that is because 1975 is the cutoff year for emissions in the state of California.
Oh, wow.
So, anything under that, you're grandfathered in, so you don't have to worry about getting it smogged. None of these cars have been smogged because they would not pass. But yeah, these are good. The top one is a diesel, so we don't got to worry about smogging on that one. But this one was actually featured on my sitcom, Mr. Iglesias. I was
going to ask you that.
It was the bus
that's in the open.
The teacher opened. Yeah, the teacher drove on the show. So school teacher was driving this.
You probably don't believe me, but it's one of my favorite shows.
Oh, thank you.
I love Mr. Iglesias.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Juan, write the check. We're gonna take care of on that one.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
what actually inspired the high school teacher character?
The high school teacher character was because I was thinking about becoming a school teacher. I was taking a program called exploratory teaching in high school, and they offered to pay for my education as long as I came back to the Long Beach Unified School District to teach, because I was bilingual. They wanted bilingual teachers, and so that was the big hook.
So valuable.
And they didn't know that my Spanish was just enough to order a taco. They didn't realize that, no one was doing the fact checking back then. They're like, what level of Spanish? They would just hear me go, me das un taco de carne asada con cebolla y cilantro. And they're like, oh my God, he's bilingual. And I'm like, no, I'm just fat. So I just wanted a fucking taco. But anyways, it didn't happen. But I always thought, wouldn't it been, what would it have been like if I would have been a school teacher? And so that was the vision.
I think it'd been great. To me, half of being a great teacher is connecting with the students, and I think you'd be great at that.
Thank you. That was one thing that the teachers that, because we would go to elementary schools and we would teach lesson plans, and they said, one of them pulls me aside and says, I think you're going to be a good teacher. I go, why do you say that? I go, my lesson plan was horrible. And she goes, I agree, your lesson plan needs help. However, you could do one thing that the other students couldn't do in front of those kids. And I said, well, what was that? She goes, you were actually able to get their attention. She goes, if you can get their attention, you can teach them. You can always learn to build better lesson plans, but that ability to capture their attention. Because I would go up there and I'd do what I do on stage. Hey, what's going on? And the kids are like, oh my God, he moves.
Yeah.
He's big, he talks funny. So
that's so cool. That's really cool.
So 2 feet away from the Mr. Iglesias Volkswagen bus that's on the other side of this green wall is this area I call the library, which is funny because there's no books here. It's just a little chill vibe area I wanted to create inside of the building. What you see on the wall is an artist in Florida made this for me for my latest special that comes out in January. And we shot it at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, and all the photos on the sides were moments from that weekend of shooting the special. And so I just thought it was really cool to commemorate that, and let me put that here. And but this area, the seating area, it's these real comfy chairs. I just chill, put bistro lights, and it's just really, really nice. A portion of my alcohol collection. And then it's an area to just hang out and talk and, chill. It's just a chill spot. But again, call it the library, no books. And again, you just turn the chair and you got an amazing view of Juan or the cars. It's really cool. Up on top is, I always wanted cars from my childhood, cars from when I was in school. The cars that I wanted when I was going to school are what I went after. So up on top, it's a 1990 IROC Z28.
Wow.
And it did not look like that when I bought it, but I put some little love and a budget into it, and that's what I got right there. And on the bottom is a 1988 Monte Carlo SS. When I bought that, I actually had to buy two identical ones. Fun story, the two cars were bought by twins in Ohio that were like drug dealers, and they were like those obnoxious twins that buy the same thing and dress the same way.
Oh, yes.
And so they would go out and buy, because it's cash back in the day.
Yeah.
And so they bought these two cars, and then identical, and then they got into a shootout with the cops. They lost, and then the family got all their stuff, and there was a big old battle, and finally they started selling things off. This one guy bought a big chunk of the collection, and I bought two of them off of him. He goes, "I'll only sell it to you if you buy both, because it's such an awesome story." And I'm like,
it's an incredible
fine.
story.
And the cool part, one of them has 25 miles and the window sticker. It's not been driven. It's 25 miles, which is nothing on a car. And the other one had 200 miles on it. And so the 200-mile one, I drove it on Leno's garage. Again, Jay Leno's been awesome. He's been super supportive of the collection. And yeah, we took it out, and he loved the story. He goes, oh yeah, the shootout, huh? And I go, yeah, it was two brothers that, they got into the shootout with the cops, and, their business, back in the day. But Jay joked that I should have checked the panels to see if there was any money or drugs hidden in the car. And I'm like, I didn't even stop to think about that.
Let me ask you this. What do you think you have spent more money on? The actual cars to buy them, or the renovation of them?
I'll tell you where I've spent the bulk of my money: on wrong people in my life. I've spent a lot of time, energy, and finances on a lot of the wrong people. Most of the money that's been set on fire was on investing in the wrong type of people. Now, when I say that, people always say, oh, friends or family or loved ones, whatever the case, you have a certain vision and an idea of what you'd like to bring to them, because a lot of times they'll ask you for help, or you just see that, oh, I can help guide things if I just help financially, but there was never any rules to it. And unfortunately, that's where the bulk of my money went. The cars is just a fraction of it. I spent a lot of money on vet bills. My dogs have better health care than I do. They seriously do. Like let's go, come on, let's go. And then I'll get those bills, and my business manager's like, really?
What the hell?
Vet? I go, I love my dogs.
Yeah.
I have one now. I lost my other little one a few months back, but man, these dogs, they mean everything to me. So I took them on the road. And people ask the question if they're rescues, because they always see the dogs. And I never thought that was a big deal to anyone. And so everybody watching, my dogs are in fact rescues.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I rescued them from my previous relationship. So let me show you where else I put money.